All right, assisted living fans. Yeah, that's right. I am doing a review for the season 3 finale, episode 22, entitled A Day Away. Well, I figured with the Oval and Sisters off the air for the week, it is the season finale, and whenever season finale is in the title of a video, it has a decent chance of getting some views. So I decided to go ahead, do this episode review, hope it gets a good amount of views. And no guarantee I'm going to review season 4, but again, I still watch the show. I just don't review it because, you've heard it 1,000 times on the channel. My reviews don't get a lot of content, but regardless, I do feel that this episode was pretty dang good. It was innovative, it was creative, and if you watch shows like Saved by the Bell back in the day, it was like that one episode where Zach and his friends are at like this, it's like one of those murder mystery dinners or something. It's like a whodunit dinner where a bunch of people go to a dinner, somebody dies, and then it's a night filled with trying to figure out who is the killer. And I really liked it. I remember watching the trailer and I said, wow, okay, this is pretty interesting. I'm going to watch it. And I enjoyed it. So for me personally, 10 out of 10. I thought this was a great episode. Taylor Buck, I hope I said the name right, if I remember that correctly. The actress, she got a pretty big role on the CW's Superman and Lois series. And I remember her in, season 1, having, sporadic roles, just appearing here and there. But then in season 2, she became a series regular, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if on Assisted Living they're going to write it where Sandra goes off to college and she's not going to be in the show as much anymore because she's working on other projects, similar to like, Barry on the Oval. Unfortunately, he's killed off now, being on the Game, and then in other movies and stuff. So in season 4 of Assisted Living, I can't recall because it feels like it was so long since I saw any behind the scenes stuff of that show. I don't know if she's in season 4. I mean, she might be, but I don't know. But if she isn't, it's because she's at college. But the premise of this episode was that they were throwing a graduation celebration slash going to college party for Sandra, because apparently she was going to college the next day. She had already graduated. The episode starts off with Leah and Cora prepping the food and whatnot. They're just happy that, Sandra made it through high school and is about to go to a new chapter in life. But apparently there's a tornado warning, and Brown announces the celebration. Everybody comes to the living room. I think Philip and Sandra are the last ones to come down, but they get together, and Brown is apparently like the master of ceremony. You got some back and forth banter between Vinny, Reginald, and Brown about why he's the one who gets to announce everything. But regardless, Philip and Sandra come down, and they're just happy, or Sandra's really happy that everybody came together for her, because they're like her extended family at this point. So as they all take a drink of non-alcoholic champagne or whatever they're drinking, me, I'm a Welch or sparkling man myself. Brown apparently gets poisoned. He starts flailing around and dies. And then is this point, I really don't even need to do a breakdown. This is the point of the episode where it's kind of like Clue. It's the over the top, well, I wonder who was the one who had the motivation to kill Mr. Brown. It was fun. It felt like this was one of those times where over the top dramatic acting was definitely appropriate, and it made it even more funny as a result. So you had Reginald, who was kind of like the detective, because being a judge, he was the one to, kind of point out, okay, this person, you have the motivation and you have a motivation. The thing, and I'm not docking a point because I'm still giving it a 10 out of 10. Not to jump too far ahead, but spoiler alert, Mr. Brown actually apparently bumped his head or something, so he had dreamt the entire murder plot. I was hoping it would have went just a little bit longer and Reginald was the killer. The reason why is because even though he was the one to kind of take charge of the situation, to kind of, interrogate this person, that person, go over motivations. Just because he's the one who's doing that, that doesn't mean he's any less guilty than anyone else in that room. So that would have been a fun little twist, as opposed to Brown just randomly, oh, I dreamt the entire thing. Again, that's how I probably would have played it out, but I think that really comes down to that plot taking up, more of the episode than it already did. I think my favorite part of this entire thing was, when they were discussing okay, well, if it wasn't any of us, which it could have been one of us in this room, if it wasn't one of us in this room right now, then it has to be like a crazy serial killer out there somewhere. And then the door to the back patio burst open, because of that tornado warning. It's rain and wind and whatnot. And then somebody's coming in with like hair covering their whole face. And it turns out it was Lindor. That was a fun little twist. I like that. It was pretty funny. And basically, to go through the short list of who was the guilty one, Cora was the first one suspected because she was really mad the previous day because I think she said she didn't like Miss Betty at the church. Brown went down to the church and blabbed it to everybody. Who I want to kill him? And then he wanted Sandra, Philip, and maybe even Jeremy and Leah to get involved with doing a project on another part of the boarding house. But they're like, we don't want to work for free because of the times, like, Sandra's like, well, what about when you made me your assistant for my internship credits and you made me do all this work? And then Philip's like, yeah, how about all the times you had me fixing stuff, but it turns out you were getting money from people on the side and, cheating me out of that, and I'm doing all the work. And it's like, yeah, we don't like the way you've been treating our kids. We want to get back at you someday, Mr. Brown. And I love the flashback aspect of it because I don't think we've really done that at all in assisted living before. And I love how in each flashback, you got Reginald and F.A. like, we walked in and we heard something very, very threatening. It's like they threatened to kill Mr. Brown. So I just love those little things. And it just makes it really, it really gives that the theatrical feel. And just like the movie 12 Angry Men, where that movie took place in one room for the duration of the movie, aside from the brief moment at the opening when they're in the courtroom, and then at the end of the movie when they're walking out of the courthouse, and of course, in the back room where the jury met, you had the bathroom area, but most of it took place in that one single room, and it just really showed the acting prowess of each actor and what they brought to the table, the suspense. This was one of those episodes where I'm glad for once assisted living only has one real set piece, because that's all that was needed. And the flashbacks really helped to elevate the story and the drama. But other than that, let's see here. Oh yeah, Lindor was quote unquote suspected because he had a bottle of antifreeze, but that was because Jeremy was taking Sandra to college and he needed to make sure, the car fluids and whatnot were, up to date, as opposed to any danger of breaking down. So yeah, once Brown wakes up, the episode pretty much shuts down from there. It's everybody wishing Sandra well, giving their best wishes as she heads to college the next day. It was a really sweet send off, and if this, I know we still have another season left, but if this would have been a decent, final episode, if you ask me, like if this was a series finale, I would not have been mad. It was really enjoyable. It was really fun. The characters got to shine, and I know that shows like, let's say, Love Thy Neighbor, for example, that was a show where you had a lot of quote-unquote comedic overacting, but this was an episode of assisted living where that kind of acting really worked. It really did work. So yeah, I think this is an episode worth a watch. If you have never watched the show, or you watched the show and you said it wasn't for you, I'd highly recommend it. Yeah, season 3, episode 22, a day away. Once the series or the season is available on BET Plus, yeah, it got my thumbs up, stamp of approval. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe. No exact date on when assisted living is coming back. My guess is the show and House of Pain will return at some point in maybe spring of 2023, after the Oval season 4 and Sisters season 5 have aired their season finale. So maybe mid to late March or sometime. I'd say the latest, maybe April. Again, I'm just speculating here. But with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in, like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.